Stand by April. Coming to April. In 3, 2, 1.
Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us. I'm April Knight, and you're watching the News 2 Week in Review. Topping our story tonight, Lime Tree Bay terminals on St. Croix could be operating fully soon. On Monday, Governor Kenneth Mapp held a press conference to announce what the administration is calling a landmark agreement between the government of the Virgin Islands and ArcLight Partners, the owners of the Lime Tree Bay terminal. News 2's James Gardner has more.
At a press conference this week on St. Croix, Governor Kenneth E. Mapp discussed the details of a deal with ArcLight Capital, the parent company of Lime Tree Bay Terminals, which gets the Hovensa refinery and St. Croix back up and running and will bring back 750 permanent jobs. The governor said the deal between the parties to restart the refinery at Lime Tree Bay provides that the ownership will invest approximately $1.4 billion to refurbish the existing refinery over the next 18 months, creating during that time more than 1,200 construction jobs and as many as 700 permanent jobs once the turnaround phase is over.
The restart of the refinery will inject hundreds of millions of dollars into our economy, generate new tax revenues to our government, and create hundreds of non-refining jobs in addition to those created at the refinery itself. It will also be the impetus of new businesses, as well as provide support for existing businesses which may complement the refining operations.
The agreement calls for an upfront payment from ArcLight of $70 million to the VI government. $30 million of that is for the land that the government had acquired from Hovensa in the settlement, and $40 million will be in prepaid taxes. After the payment is covered, Mapp estimates that ArcLight will pay the government about $22 million a year in lieu of taxes. Retirees also got some good news. The governor said that more than $300 million from the agreement will be channeled directly into the government employees' retirement system, with another $100 million coming into the system with a bill he recently sent to the Senate. He said this would give GERS another 5 years of solvency and time for policymakers to come with a rational, permanent solution to the system's problems.
In addition to the $25 million cash injection, the mortgage payments, one half of the mall revenues, one half of the annual payments from the refinery will be dedicated to GERS. Altogether, based on our industry consultant, these measures will generate more than $380 million into GERS over the next 10 years.
Also tied to the agreement could be the development of a top-tier hotel at Yacht Haven Grand.
10 seconds back.
The deal, however, must be ratified by the VI Senate in order to move forward. For News 2, this is James Gardner.
And we're back.
Governor Mapp has sent a letter to the Senate along with the agreement that he wants them to ratify. We'll keep you updated. As we head into hurricane season, the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency tells senators that the territory's disaster contingency fund is not enough. VITEMA Director Mona Barnes, who was presenting the budget to the Senate Finance Committee on Thursday, said that the 2017 hurricanes taught us that appropriating $750,000 a year to the disaster fund is far from the level it should be. She said that fund should have $6 million in it and that appropriations should be made annually to the fund, even after that level is reached. The Disaster Contingency Fund provides the local match for any federal disaster grants. It also covers local disaster response efforts for major incidents that don't quite meet the threshold for a presidential disaster declaration. This year, VITEMA is asking for $18.2 million, which includes the disaster contingency funds. Well, hotels across the territory are reporting potential reopening dates. Let's take a look. The Ritz-Carlton is set to open between October and December this year. The Elysian and Westin St. John between January and March next year. Sugar Bay Resort and Windward Passage are eyeing a 2019 reopening, but the exact date is undetermined yet. The same goes for Marriott's Frenchman's Reef, which is scheduled to open at an undetermined date in 2020. Meanwhile, here are the hotels that are already open: Belongo Bay, Emerald Beach, Gallows Point, Grand Bay Resort, the Green Iguana, Island View Guest House, Lavender Hill Suites, Lindbergh Bay Hotel, Maffoli Hotel, Margaritaville, Marriott's Frenchman's Cove, Point Pleasant Resort, and Secret Harbor Beach Resort. We'll keep you updated. Well, Liat Airlines is back in the Virgin Islands this month. There was a lot of fanfare at the Cyril E. King Airport on Monday to mark the occasion. Liat suspended service in March of last year, citing financial concerns, but they resumed their flights on July 2nd, flying at an ATR-42 aircraft, which seats 48 passengers. There will be round-trip service between St. Thomas and Antigua on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but they're not resuming flights to St. Croix at this time. Liat has been flying to and from the territory for more than 40 years. Here's more from the inaugural flight's arrival.
The Department of Tourism has been working with Liat and the Office of the Lieutenant Governor as well as the Port Authority in making sure that this day is a reality. And we are excited that this actually is taking place, because what it does for tourism is that it not only allows travelers to travel to the Eastern Caribbean, it allows travelers to connect from other parts of the world, as I mentioned earlier when I was speaking about this, from other parts of Europe that has direct flights to the Eastern Caribbean. They can now connect to Liat.
The separation of break in service was able to be mended, and we are here again welcoming them on this inaugural flight. You know, having them here connects the people of the territory who have friends and family in the Eastern Caribbean and beyond to get together more often without a lot of hassle and cumbersome and expenses.
Coming up next, the religious community is fighting back against religious intolerance after one man replaced airport flags with black banners bearing the word Allah. We have highlights from the conversations that came out of that incident. We'll be right back.
3, 2, 1. All right, coming to April. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Last week, we shared with you that VIA has awarded 2 Virgin Islands students with 2018 VIA scholarships. You heard from Ajani Gordon, the education complex student on St. Croix, who received one of the scholarships. This time we hear from Varuna Marchandani, the Antilles student, stopped by the studio to share her passions and what it was like finding out that she won the scholarship.
When I found out I had received this scholarship, I was very excited, and my first instinct was to call my dad, because he told me that this going to Suffolk University was going to be a challenge to pay for and everything, and that he wanted me to go there because he knew that's what I wanted. So when I told him, he was he did not expect it at all, and he was like, "You're gonna make me cry at work," and I was just like, "Please don't." But I have a passion for giving back to my community and just recognizing people that aren't normally recognized. And so over the hurricane, I learned a lot about giving back to the community, and just the smallest things can make other people feel very special. And so during the giving back process after the storms, I was part of a lot of drives and talking to people that didn't get attention, made them feel very important.
2, and we're back.
Last week, black flags flying at the entrance to the Cyril E. King Airport on St. Thomas gripped the territory's attention. 9 international flags were taken down and replaced with black banners bearing the word Allah and some Arabic symbols. With help from the Muslim community, the Virgin Islands Police Department quickly made an arrest. On Friday, the VIPD arrested 29-year-old Allah Salem and charged him with conversion of federal property, malicious mischief, and petty larceny. No federal charges will be leveled against him, according to the VIPD. Meanwhile, the local religious community wasted no time opening up the conversation when residents expressed fears and concerns about the flag incident. The Masjid Noor Islamic Center opened its doors to host several religious leaders, including pastors from various Christian denominations and St. Thomas, as well as the Hebrew congregation. They said they want to send a strong message that they stand united against religious intolerance.
What happened with the flag, what happened with mental illness, it has to take a community to come together, to heal.
Alleviate people's fears, because people feel that there's actually more bad things to come. Again, I'm on the street. This is what I hear.
I see a spin on this, and I see where even with the black flags that say Allah, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I see it as a good thing that somebody's pronouncing God in our land.
This is why we're here, to get out to the community, because I've been telling the Imam for the long, Imam, let's get out there in the community, let them see what we're about.
We are so interested to keep the community in large safe and to make sure that we practice our faith. Muslims have been living with other faiths all over the world, and it's not necessarily always a conflict of any problems.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
The more we come to know people we initially think of as different, the more we realize how much we have in common.
I'm having tears in my eyes because the reason that I am here, I am a Virgin Islander. As he said, we opened up our arms to any nationality that come here, any person. We don't see color. I have a Muslim that has stolen my father's properties. 2, falsely filed a deed after my father passed away and didn't pay for the first property.
A man said he was a Muslim and he did something wrong. Is that blaming everybody that's a Muslim?
Nope.
And I don't think that's right. So the key is you want to make sure that we don't stereotype, put everybody in the same bowl and say everybody's the same.
We cannot pick out a certain faith or religion for the actions of any individual. Right? For the actions of any individual, regardless they are good or bad. And so it's not befitting, if we believe in the Holy Scriptures of the previous prophets and the biblical prophets, that is, that a believing man and woman who claims to be Muslim, right? That they are to what? That they are to be opposite of that, contrary to that, and promote violence or anything that would be total opposite of peace. We hope that we are all able to understand that within our faith and within all of our very different faiths, that we hope to be able to bring it all together of unity and of peace.
The more we come to know each other, walls fall down, and we see each other as individuals and as people, and not as just part of a group.
5, 4, 3, and 1. We're back.
We have highlights from Emancipation Day celebrations as well as the St. John Festival when we come back.
And coming to you in 3, 2, 1. Stand by, April. Number April in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Revelers took to the streets on Love City this week to celebrate the peak of the St. John Festival. Various troops in colorful costumes and lively music filled the streets on the 4th of July, with first responders leading the way and serving as parade marshals. 2018 Festival Queen Shanija Dawson and Festival Princess Amory Jones were among the royalty in the parade. We'll have a bit more of the village entertainment later, but for now, here's some more of the sights and sounds from the St. John Festival parades. Also on St. John, residents witnessed the Emancipation Day celebrations on Tuesday at the Village. There was a showcase of traditional music as well as performances from the Caribbean ritual dancers and the St. Thomas Heritage Dancers. The audience also witnessed a performance that depicted the Virgin Islands' resilience in the wake of the 2017 hurricanes, as well as the meaning of Emancipation Day.
St. John, they did it for our freedom, the resilience of our ancestors. It is necessary that we don't forget, don't you ever forget what our ancestors went through, that we are here today. No joke, no laughter. This is the reason we are celebrating 170 years of emancipation from that slavery, under Danish rule.
Meanwhile, on St. Croix, the Emancipation Day celebration crowd was small but very enthusiastic. A group of former Walter Hodge Pavilion residents made the Fort to Fort walk from Fort Christian Verne to Fort Frederick on Wednesday morning. They were chanting and singing as they entered Butto Park. Following a light attendance in the afternoon, the evening crowd was much larger as Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights led a spirited tramp down King Street in Frederiksted. It was a day to acknowledge history, sacrifice, and freedom.
Well, history is not necessarily pretty. It's not necessarily a beautiful thing, but there's nothing wrong in acknowledging it and respecting that it took place. What young people can learn from this is that it took a coordination and an agreement, and they made history. Young people can learn from that it is important to focus on what's important and take the steps toward making it happen. If those people didn't take the steps towards making it happen, by the time America discovered us in 1917, they would have discovered us as slaves, and that's not what they did. They discovered us as free people.
Well, the 22nd annual Mango Melee and Tropical Fruit Festival welcomes all this Sunday at the St. George Village Botanical Garden on St. Croix, weather permitting. This annual celebration of all things mango features live music and entertainment, food and craft vendors, kids, activities, a mango dish competition, and of course, the famous mango eating contest. There's even something new this year, the Miss Mango Melee competition. The doors open at 12 noon and tickets are $10 at the door. Tropical Storm Beryl is gaining strength in the Atlantic, and let's see what the next few days is going to look with our News 2 AccuWeather forecast.
Still monitoring the Caribbean here as we have tropical activity going on. Today we are pretty dry before that storm rolls through and will slide once again over to Hurricane Beryl. That is now a Category 1 storm. It's in the perfect environment right now to be gaining strength, but we do notice it's a very small storm. That limits the amount of impact we'll see here across the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Leeward Islands as well. So here's a tropical outlook. As we said yesterday, it is going to strengthen slightly because of its current environment, warm waters, and we're not looking at a lot of wind shear in its current location, but as it continues to track its way into the Leeward Islands, this is where we're going to encounter strong wind shear. Wind shear is wind coming from a different direction at a different speed that takes away the stability of Hurricane Beryl or any tropical storm. So that's going to help decrease the chances of the storm getting any strength. Then as we head into your Sunday night, Tuesday, here's an outlook across the region. We're looking at it slowly weakening each day here, but we are going to be looking at the potential for some impacts such as flash flooding, mudslides, rough sea and surf, and locally damaging winds. Here in the Virgin Islands, we do anticipate to be on the north of that storm. Many of those impacts will hopefully be missing us as we continue to monitor Hurricane Beryl. We'll have a closer pinpoint on where it's going to land. But right now, moving to the west at 15 miles per hour, winds 80 miles per hour sustained, and we are looking at the pressure of 994 millibars. We'll continue to look at this track, stretch its way once again into the Leeward Islands, eventually tracking into Hispaniola. And we have here potentially strengthening it into a Category 2, then weakening. If it makes it to a Category 2, still undetermined at this time in terms of will it sustain itself because of that wind shear. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low 78. Tomorrow in the 80s in St. John's, as well as St. Thomas, looking at hazy skies, and will be dry up until your extended forecast here. Sunday night is when we're going to be starting to see some showers, and then we could continue to look at Beryl, stay to the south of us, but some bands, rain bands, and some winds creating rougher surf likely on Monday, moving out pretty quick on Monday, and then into your Tuesday, drying back out and looking at our typical trade wind showers.
Thank you for that, Dodgy. Stick around. News 2 Sports with Gary Anthony is coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. Who says basketball has an off season? Not me. Let's dribble over to the FIBA Americas qualifiers, where the VI men's national team, looking for back-to-back wins, took on Team Canada in Ottawa on Monday. It did not go well. First quarter action, nice pass, and the slam by Dwight Powell. Cuthbert Victor with a nice turnaround jumper, and the VI ties it up at 7. Next up, Khalid Hart with the drive and the scoop. Nice move. Canada takes charge in the second quarter. Corey Joseph with the spin and the bucket. Canada up by 10. More Canada. The sweep behind the back pass to Kelly Olynyk, and Canada is now up by 11. And getting into the act, R.J. Barrett from downtown. And then Dwight Powell with the exclamation point alley-oop as Canada thumps the VI 99-69. But all is not lost. The VI still advances to the next round as they try to qualify for the 2019 FIBA World Cup Championship in China. On to the NBA and free agency, and in a big-time stunner, LeBron James is leaving Cleveland for the second time, and he signs with the LA Lakers. King James did not waste any time agreeing to a 4-year, $154 million contract on Sunday. Not to be outdone, the world champion Golden State Warriors signed DeMarcus Boogie Cousins on Monday. Cousins averaged 25 points and 12 rebounds when he tore his Achilles tendon. Now he's out until at least December, but if he returns healthy, that's 5 All-Stars for the Warriors. It just doesn't seem fair. That's it for sports. Have a fabulous weekend.
1.
Thank you for that, Gary. And that's it for our show tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at News2 or Instagram at TV2USVI. We want to hear from you, so tag us on any stories you want to see on the news or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. We have some more highlights from the St. John Festival entertainment scene coming up. Thanks again for joining us on News 2 Week in Review. I'm April Knight. Thank you for watching.
Leave the music run until I tell you to kill it.